Hey, gang. Day 2, and I'm sick. Yeah. How much does that suck? Day 2 of us going 5 days a week. No camera today because I am a mess. I woke up today to a phone call. Good phone call. Important phone call. And I have to go deal with that after the show. But, yeah. I'm sucking wind already. So, big news this morning. It's done. Done deal. For Tuesday's show, the VP has her VP. World Pride. Buddy of mine, and actually a bunch of other people, but just as recently as this morning, buddy Chris, shout out to Chris Brown, said he's going to be listening, asking me about World Pride. And I think we're going to try to get to World Pride because of Rainbow Radio. We wanted to launch that this past June for 2024 Pride, and it just wasn't realistic. It wouldn't have been the right product to put out, especially to you catty gays. To us catty gays. I'm hydrating. Give me a second here. Back in my former stomping grounds, it's not my hometown. And for those still learning, I'm in Tampa now. 21 years in the Secret Service, 11 and a half in Washington, D.C., the host city for the 50th anniversary of Pride festivals, organizations, whatever. And that is why the camera is not on today. I get this hacking cough that's like gagging me. And it's not even, it's so fast, I can't even mute the microphone. So at least you don't have to see it. We're just leaving the up the middle logo on for the social media that gets us. Speaking of which, let's go through all that. 99.1 WDJY in Atlanta. We're live there every Monday through Friday now, starting at 11. 1490 WWPR, Bradenton, Tampa Bay. We're trying to get 5 days a week there. Right now, we're just our second hour on Friday, but we'll see what happens. America One Radio, also out of Atlanta, progressive talk station. You can find them at americaoneradio.com. We're in the UK. The UG. I should know what that stands for. I just call it the underground because that's what they call their subway system or the tube. And also, this particular station is for independent / underground music, but they like my show and they want to have this type of format to stay in touch with politics across the pond. And that's kind of how they market me as their eyes and mouth for the UK. So the UG, the THE, U under G ground, the UG dot media. That's the ending. It's not .com, it's .media. So, yeah, and it takes a lot out of me to even talk, which is why I'm glad today's show is only an hour. The UG.media is our second of 4 internet stations. Rainbow Radio, we do broadcast to that during this show, as does Sportcat during all of his shows, which are also on Yergz Radio. RainbowRadio.gay or .lgbt and YergzRadio.com. We're working with some stations here in the rest of the Gulf Coast of Florida. Our goal by the end of the calendar year to create a network at least as far south as Sarasota, which we kind of sort of have already with WWPR. Our goal ultimately is to unite the state. And we're looking at acquiring some stations down in the Keys, as well as the Miami, Fort Lauderdale area, which would, because of what are called translators, think of it like you have your internet in the house, and there's the modem and the router, and they're together somewhere. And that's where the Wi-Fi gets broadcast from. But you got a nice house, a big house. Maybe there's a lot of concrete in it. You get a place like mine that's in hurricane country. So you got a lot of concrete, and you need what are called repeaters. That's what a translator is. It takes the signal, turns it to an FM frequency, and rebroadcasts it. So it's kind of like having a cheaper to run AM station with an FM station. And because of the locations of those translators, it's going to increase our web, our network of terrestrial radio. Now, keep in mind, all of these have internet radio stations. And if they don't, we just simply market it yergzradio.com, where you can just click and listen. So we're currently talking to a station in Clearwater, and then also down in, like I said, Southern Florida, Miami, Keys, that area. And then we're looking at partnering with a station in Brooksville. If that happens, we'll switch to a morning show. So I kind of hope it doesn't happen. But yeah, it's a matter of adjusting your schedule, changing your body clock, and getting your ass out of bed. I can't say who those stations are because, one, there's nothing definite. Two, you don't do stuff like that and then employees and other jocks hear it, and that's not cool. So the VP's got her pick. It's the guy from Minnesota. I don't even know this one, so I'm a little taken aback by it. Tim Walz is the governor of Minnesota. I thought this was supposed to be tonight. I got all kinds of alarms set on YouTube on various channels. It was supposed to be for like somewhere around 7 o'clock tonight. 22 minutes ago, according to CNN. Well, actually, this story. Vice President Kamala Harris has selected her vice president, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, as her running mate, capping the Midwestern Democrat short but swift we don't have a news service here, so I'm pulling this all off the internet. So let's compare him to ASAT number 2. Tim Walz, governor, versus J.D. Vance, senator. Okay, so right there, one of the things that's often looked at for VP choice is an actual executive who's authorized to make singularly decisions, meaning that he doesn't need the vote of 99 other people or 50 other people, to get a minimal majority. He can say, this is what we're going to do. Here's executive action. No, I'm going to veto this bill, et cetera, et cetera. And he's got that experience. And yeah, this is where I want to, you usually hear, even if you don't know names, which I suck with, I'm awful with names. I would have heard something from Minnesota. Caps the Midwestern Democrat short, but swift ascent from a relative unknown. I mean, he still is. To a leading driver of the party's attacks against the former president and the MAGA agenda. Walz emerged from the most accelerated vice president search in modern history. From a short list that included half a dozen Democrats, including Pennsylvania governor. Yeah, this is a head scratcher for me. It is, and not because I'm originally from Pennsylvania. I think the only thing that shot down Josh Shapiro, who is loved in Pennsylvania. And what's fascinating by that, I will follow up tomorrow. We'll follow up tomorrow because I gotta see some of the other things about both of these guys. Mark Kelly, an astronaut. I mean, this ain't rocket science. You pick the good ones. And so I'm really excited to see what she has to say and everybody else has to say about this Walz guy. I don't know the guy. And I can't help but think that's a little bit of, just because I don't know him, okay, well, he's not allowed to be the running mate. No, I get that. And with hurricanes coming through and me doing a show anyway, I've been a little busy. But without question, both other names and even some of the other candidates that have been eliminated have much better name recognition. I mean, Mark Kelly, astronaut, military, senator, and, we just talked about senator versus governor, but then why not Josh Shapiro, who, and I'll tell you why, the one thing that I think screwed him, but Josh Shapiro, a loved governor from Pennsylvania, which is not only a swing state, but a 50-50 state. It can go red quickly. But that's where Fetterman came from. So Shapiro obviously still is. I think the two things that might have screwed him, he's in his first term. And so for that, he might have less experience than Walz. He's also Jewish. And sadly, you have to look at that. Will voters accept not only a Jew as a vice president, but a woman as the president at the same time? And it's something still that has to be considered. Which sucks because I know I haven't seen firsthand, because I haven't lived in Pennsylvania in, God, more than 20 years. But my parents are still there. One of my two brothers are still there. I know he's liked. I know he was a prosecutor as well as Kamala Harris. So when they're talking about things like finding chemistry, I don't know. And unless he's too hard on certain demographics as a prosecutor. So, yeah. Continuing on, this is a CNN article, and as always, you'll find this and all the other URLs for any article that we discuss or any site that we go to. The worldpride.org will be in that. On the show notes, available at yergz.com, YERGZ.com. And speaking of which, I mean, I'm gonna be struggling through today. But if you do want to talk, it's 1-888-88 Yergz. 1-888-88 YERGZ. So back to the story with the VP. Walz emerged from the most accelerated vice presidential search in modern history, from a short list that included half a dozen Democrats, including Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, Arizona Senator Mark Kelly, the vice, and I thought there were others listed there. I like Pete Buttigieg. I don't think he's going to get picked yet for the same reason that I think Shapiro is a risk, and that a woman and openly gay, other demographics that I just don't think the country may be ready for yet. So there were in-person interviews this weekend. All three, Walz, Shapiro, and Kelly, having made the short list. And it says, while Harris and Walz did not enjoy much of a previous relationship, aides said Harris grew increasingly enthused by how Walz genuinely carried himself and found a warm chemistry with him during the final meeting on Sunday at a residence at the Naval Observatory. Off of Massachusetts Avenue, as you're heading out of town, heading towards Wisconsin Avenue in Georgetown and the Russian Embassy in that whole area. On the left, as you cross over the, I forget the highway that is, there's a highway that goes through the park that in morning rush hour is all one-way inbound. And for a short amount of time in PM rush hour, it's all one-way outbound. The entire highway, both directions, is one direction. As soon as you cross over that highway, Rock Creek Parkway, because it's in Rock Creek Park. See, there it is. As soon as you cross over the parkway, the next complex on your left, the first left is where you go to Hillary Clinton's place and the Italian embassy right there in the corner. As you start going up the hill on the right is the Holy See, which is essentially the embassy for the Vatican. And on the left across the street is the British Embassy, and then immediately after that is the entrance for the Naval Observatory. That is the residence of the Vice President in D.C. So, apparently that's where this past weekend's meetings were the three of them. And what they're saying about, the accelerated selection process, she's only been running for 2 weeks. In a remarkable 2-week period, Walz ascended from a third-tier candidate to a final contender in the view of Harris and her vetting team. He was propelled by support from across the Democratic Party, progressive and moderate groups alike. Okay, well, that's kind of key, because everybody else is going to work with him too. He talks and looks a lot like voters we've lost to Trump. All right, also key. Said a longtime Democrat who was supportive of Walz from the day President Joe Biden stepped aside. In March, Walz accompanied Harris when she became the first sitting vice president to visit a clinic that performs abortions. A source close to Walz said that visit, along with the time Harris spent with the governor as he campaigned for re-election in 2022, had a big impact. Chemistry is key. Historically, vice presidents are often picked by the party. And the presidential candidate, who's got very little standing yet, is sometimes told, here's who you're running with. A little bit of that happened, I think, with Hillary Clinton, even though clearly she was no newbie. I think the party still had some influence. And that's why I think the selection may not have been as stellar with Tim Kaine as what they needed. The chemistry was really important to Harris, and it really clicked for both of them, this source said. Then on top of that, the Harris campaign, like all of us, saw how energizing Walz was for the base. Okay, hey, you know what? Let's see what it can do. I was thinking about this last night, and one of the things I've been adamant about, having started, or ever since having started, up the middle, was not endorsing political candidates. And I'm sitting watching the interview that Howard Stern did with Anderson Cooper and others. This guy's friends, personal friends with Donald Trump. And even he says, you know, I can't do it. And even before Trump came on the scene, he had been pro-Hillary. But and I also get it, you know, he's more comedic and not political, whatever. But I don't have to be always progressive. And I'm not. I don't think Kamala Harris is going to put in an assault weapons ban. Not with the episode that I did a year ago, where I detailed the fact that 20% of Democrats carry a gun. Not our pro-Second Amendment. Carry a gun. Now that, coupled with Republicans who carry a gun, you think you're going to get an assault weapons ban? Anybody that votes for that is going to get their ass ousted hard. So I don't even know where I was going with that, but whatever. Yeah, Kamala, I'm interested to find out about this Walz guy. And, so point being, I am against Donald Trump now for the same reason that I was against Vivek Ramaswamy and the dickhead that's my governor, Ron DeSantis. I am definitely sick. God. And that anybody just joining, that's why the cameras aren't on today. I don't want you to see me like this. I know you love me. If this is the end, I want you to remember me as the good-looking guy I kept telling you that I was, even though I had a face for radio. I am eminently against those three because of the fact that, by definition, they do represent, at minimum, an autocratic government, meaning a dictatorship. And in some cases, I think with DeSantis, the guy's trying to start his own military. And Trump, who's got one or had one, outright fascism. And I know everybody says, oh, the right's fascist, the left's communist. No, these two, by definition, I'm telling you that as a political scientist, are fascist. And that's it. I love how people try to defend Trump. Oh, he's not like Hitler. Meanwhile, that's literally the speeches he's making. And I don't like to jump on the literally bandwagon that I'm literally dying. No, you're figuratively dying. If you're literally dying, you would be dead. But literally formatted exactly like the speeches of Adolf Hitler. Tell me how that's good. So I was definitely in favor of not supporting Trump. There it is. But I'm thinking last night, and I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to literally unite the state of Florida, at least geographically, I need to put an opinion out there. There's a toll-free phone number. If you're listening or watching through social media, you can engage in chat. You can tell me I'm wrong. I'm even going to put up an email right now. News, NEWZ at Yergz.com. Yeah, so I think I'm going to, this is a political show. I think when it comes down to it, I'm going to announce support. Some of them are going to be Democrats. Some of them are going to be Republicans. We've got some local interviews coming up this month. I'm reaching out to my home state of Pennsylvania. There is a political candidate there who is running against a Republican incumbent who's done absolutely nothing now, because this is all happening, because I'm, trying to I want to get both of them for individual interviews, and then I want to get them both on for a debate. Whether that's a special edition, probably in the evening, or whatever. I definitely want to see what I can do with that. And then here in the Pasco, Pinellas, Hernando, Hillsborough area of Florida, the northern side of the Tampa Bay, there's some county commissioners and others that I'd like to bring into the studio or join virtually or whatever. Okay, so Tim Walz. Was it Tim? I don't know this guy's name. I told you I don't know this guy's name. Yeah, Tim. I'm. Who's the guy from Inglourious Bastards? The James Bond villain. I gotta Google that because it's driving me crazy. Inglourious Bastards cast. Christopher Waltz. Oh, there's a T in it. Damn it. His last name is spelled W-A-L-T-Z. And the Minnesota governor is just W-A-L-Z. Oh, well. Close. And that will not be in the show notes. It's irrelevant. So Tim Walz, and I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right. Should I kind of put a T in there, sort of? Or like let it kind of slur a little bit? Have one consonant blend into the other? But we'll learn. We learned how to pronounce Kamala. We'll learn how to pronounce Waltz. And Buttigieg. Jesus. So World Pride is coming up. We got some local news for everybody because that's part of what we're doing here. We got a Debbie update. And then I think there's another poll out. Something about a poll being out that MAG is happy about and Trump is losing. So I got to figure that out. But I got to take a break. I got to refill the coffee. And I got to pay some bills, especially now that we're a big syndicated Howard Stern show. Where's it at? God, I need a producer. All right, here we go. 99.1 WDJY, 1490 WWPR, Yergz Radio Network. Actually, we're switching that too. Instead of just naming it after the one of my two stations, soon to be three, we're going to call it after the parent company. You know, that's Yergz Radio, or the Yergz Group, but we're doing business on this side. We're doing business as Mastiff Media. So we'll be back with the rest of the Mastiff Media Network after this.
Smell nasty. Do you want to freshen it up a little bit? Go to aromabypeter.com. Check out all of Peter's candles. It's what we burn here in Studio Yergz. I'm burning right now leather scented candle. That's right, leather scented. So go to aromabypeter.com/Yergz and check out his candles today.
I'm Jane Stahl, retired English teacher, and with my BFF, Susan Bebeck, we manage Studio B Fine Art Gallery in Boyertown, Pennsylvania. We showcase the art of hundreds of local artists, publish books of the poetry, prose, and art of local writers, offer classes, art parties, workshops, discussion groups, cater dinners. We've even hosted a wedding. And we're here to be the go-to place for friendship, learning, and fun in our community. Virtual tours of our exhibits are available right here on Yergz Radio. Let us introduce you to some amazing art and artists.
Check out Jane Stahl and everyone at Studio B in Boyertown, Pennsylvania. Please visit our YouTube channel, Talk TV 24. How's your website doing? I'll tell you how mine's doing. It's awesome. Yergz.com is gotta be the best website for anybody in podcasting or any sort of broadcast solo journalist like me. How did I get that? Limit Break Digital. Limit Break Digital did my website with Yergz.com. They did YergerGroup.com. They take care of my marketing, my branding, and help me get the message out to you. Go to limitbreakdigital.com/Yergz for 10% off your next project. That's a $3,000 site, Yergz.com. And you can get 10% off that by just going to limitbreakdigital.com/Yergz today. Talk to Jay. That's my guy. We all got a guy, and Jay's mine. limitbreakdigital.com. Hey gang, it's Yergz. Right now, our country is about to embark on yet another controversial presidential election. I have an actual question, legitimate question, as a political scientist and historian by education. If you are a Trump supporter, I want to hear from you. I want to know what your appeal to Donald Trump is at this time. Please email me news, N-E-W-Z, at yergz.com. News, N-E-W-Z, at yergz.com. Thanks. Participants must be willing to provide their contact information, answer a series of questions, and then have their first name broadcast over the radio and social media relevant to Up the Middle.
All right, we're back. I got coffee. I was looking for cough medicine too, and I think the kid drank it all. He's been sick for like a month, at least. And he doesn't get vaxxed. He doesn't go to doctors. I'm like, okay. Well, now the son of a bitch got me sick. So I think we're both going to go to a doctor later this week. I need your help with something. Text me in the chat or call. Tell me what you want to do. I need your opinion on the following. Last week, I was in a one-vehicle car accident. I was headed to an interview at WMNR in Tampa with Chris Lawrence for the big gay radio show. Going to promote this, all kinds of cool stuff. Nope. I'm following GPS, and it says to exit. I'm not going to say where because I don't want to give you too much of an idea where I actually live, because soon enough I'll be pissing you off. But it says to exit, so I get over into the right lane, not knowing that it's a right lane too early. And no sooner do I get into that lane, a curb is straight ahead of me. So I veer back into the left, knowing that it's still open. Not enough in time. Run over it with my right front tire. Run over it partially with my right rear tire. Flatten both of them. Crack the front one. May have cracked the back. I don't know. So I'm my life is paycheck to paycheck until Zach, my son, gets his financial aid, some of which is for me because of his living expenses, and until I can get Mastiff Media better monetized. I'm still kind of paycheck to paycheck. I'm doing fine. I mean, I am doing all this, but I'm paycheck to paycheck. All right. So I've got to get that repaired. You know, I've got a 8-year-old dog, large dog, who is by definition kind of senior. If he's got to go to a vet, I got to take him. That's what that minivan's for. And having been in therapy for more than a year now, part of my assignment is to get my ass out. I want to start hitting the bars. Gay bars, of course. I can be gun carriers at gay bars. I can be both conservative and liberal. I got to get back to the gym. I really miss that. I'm realizing when I see other guys and I'm watching adult movies, and I see the guys in there that are just beautiful, I'm like, I used to look like that. And then the painful part is I go back and look at photos of me from the gym and with some certain guys. I go, yeah, I really did used to look like that. So I got to get that back. I just got to get that back. Even if it doesn't come to ripped six-pack abs like it used to be, I've got to get rid of this gut. When I moved here, I was a 34-inch waist. My first couple of months were a bit vacation-esque, and I wound up having to buy shorts that were 36s. I bought 36s. I bought 34s. I said, I'll just get these 36s till I lose it. I cut out the beer. And I was never really a beer drinker in the first place. So there's that. I cut out the beer. And I got back down somewhat. But I kept the 36s. I kept the 36s for, just to have days where I feel I need room. A couple weeks ago, actually a couple months ago, I go to put the 36s on, and they're tight again. So now I'm buying 38s and 40s. And I'm like, yeah, no. 40-inch waist. I remember 8 inches ago. And yeah, a real 8 inches ago, when I was a 32. I'm just like, oh. And one of the things that stopped during the depression, my personal depression and PTSD, every morning I used to get up, go for a walk out to the water, do like a TikTok video, come back. I haven't been doing that in a year. And so that little bit of cardio, it's a mile walk out and back. I'm not doing 1 mile a day. I'm not doing. And so that's going to pick back up. One of our upcoming sponsors just rebranded. So now that I get this network of stations together, that's going to be more solid. And yeah, obviously I'll be going to that. I support my sponsors, or I don't let them sponsor. So yeah, I've got a plan, but I need the minivan to do that. So part of this loan is to repair the tires on the minivan. And it may just mean, for consistency's sake, because eventually that van is going to get wrapped with the Mastiff Media insignias, logo, branding. Can't use this money for that, by the way. This money has to be for personal stuff, not business. So, estimated, I'm thinking $2,000 to $3,000 for 4 rims and 4 tires. Also, one of the things that tightened up my finances in the first place, last year, I got a call and an email from my insurance company, my homeowner's insurance company. Middle of September, maybe first week of September, sometime September 2023. And they said, it's occurred to us you do not have hurricane straps. It's either straps or clips, and they're apparently 2 different things, but whatever. You do not have hurricane straps, we'll just call it that for now, on your roof. If you get them installed by October 1st, not only will your mortgage not go up, but it'll come down considerably. Like, okay. You're talking about getting this done in 2 weeks, 3 weeks? And so that didn't happen. Of course, my mortgage went up. And I tried to keep my head above water, but that didn't happen either. So I got federal assistance to get my mortgage back under control. The HUD, Housing and Urban Development, actually backed restructuring my loan, my mortgage. And now it's down to a decent rate. And if I get this roof fixed, it's going to go down even further, just like it was supposed to do a year ago. So that's another couple $1,000s. I've been approved for a $6,000 loan that I'm going to go sign on right after the show. They've also approved me for an $11,000 loan. Not at the same time, just one or the other. Keep in mind, I can't use that money to develop Mastiff Media. You're not allowed to use it on business. You're not allowed to use it on things like contraband. I can't start a weed company or whatever. One of the other things I would do around the house is put like a pavilion over top of my outdoor kitchen. This is the straight side of me. I love to grill. I can't do it here because in this Florida sun, I bake more than the meat does. So I don't get to use my grill. I put some sort of pavilion or canopy of sorts over top of it, just like a roof with 4 poles on each corner, a pole on each corner. There's already electric to the area. All I need is that roof. If I were to do that, I would get the $11,000 loan. Knowing that, other things are happening that I'll be able to afford the $400 some a month payment. So I want your opinion. Go back to grilling outside. Let that be part of my therapy. Also, I would also use that actually to finish repairing the ski ramps, which were damaged last year during Adalia. So, yeah, I mean, I might actually be leaning toward the 11,000 one, but definitely interested in what you think. Let's talk about World Pride. We're going to do some news and then get out of here. So, World Pride coming up in June, the usual Pride month, right? June 2025. And it's saying wow, I never knew this. So on their website, listen to this. It is important to acknowledge that the United States Capitol, okay, wrong spelling, or maybe they're referring to the city. Can we just spell it all the same way? So Capitol, AL, is the city and the building for states. The Capitol, OL, CAPITOL, is the building where Congress sits in Washington, D.C. So depending on which one you're talking about, you change one letter. It's important to acknowledge that the United States Capitol, see, when you say it that way, it reads like you're talking about the building. Otherwise, you would say, it's important to acknowledge that Washington, D.C. is surrounded by just over a dozen tribal nations that thrive along the Anacostia and Potomac watersheds, Chesapeake Bay Area, and states of Maryland, Virginia, and Delaware. Okay, now we're talking about Washington, D.C., clearly. Washington, D.C., the land we will gather on for Pride, D.C., World Pride, D.C. World Pride, D.C. It's either World Pride or it's D.C. Pride. Ugh, these gays. For 2025, and each year for the Capitol Pride celebration. Yeah, so basically they're using a lot of the same sites throughout D.C. for World Pride that would normally house Capitol Pride, D.C. Pride. It is actually, I know the Potomac River, because there was an army named after it. Is the big river that runs through the southern edge of DC. And it's the whole city is on a swamp. It's humid in like January. It's buggy. But then on the east side is the Anacostia River, and that empties into the Potomac. And then it's a bigger Potomac that heads out into the Atlantic. So that's where that's going to be. The parade's going to start in the area of 14th and Capitol, 14th and Pennsylvania, which essentially is the section of Pennsylvania and Constitution that the street festivals are on. Most of Constitution Avenue between the Capitol and the White House is closed during the summer. Well, let me say that. Is closed on the weekends during the summer because there's a street festival there for something and for someone. And that's where they do it. So my friend Chris was asking me, where should he get a place? I said, well, first of all, get it now. Book it now. Go to Airbnb, VRBO. The people that have their places listed there and not on a gay-friendly site like Mr. B&B are not going to know the first thing about World Pride. So as such, you can get good locations for a really good price. Now, Mr. B&B, you would think they kind of know World's Pride coming to their own city. Or the fact that Pride is going to be in their own city at that same time for the entire month as it is in D.C. every year. Pride in D.C., there's... oh, God. Sorry. Pride in D.C. is usually a month long because there are so many other factions within the gay community. Black Pride, Gay Pride, Trans Pride, this Pride, that Pride, Dr. Seuss Pride, you name it. It's in D.C. For a demographic constantly flapping its yap about wanting to be accepted for who they are, we're the first ones to segregate. You'd never figure that out. Shout outs to everybody on DLive, Twitter. You heard that right. Twitter. We're on 3 accounts there. The video goes out on Talk TV 24 and on Spaces with Up the Middle and my personal account, Yergz. Also, our Facebook pages, Up the Middle, the radio show, Up the Middle, the podcast, Yergz Radio, the Yergz Group. I'm putting this out over my hotel because I got like 300 followers on it. Shea Yergz Key Calker, where I own a property down in Belize. My own personal account, because I've got like 4,000 followers there. So don't be stupid. We're on Twitter. We're on Twitch. That was the other one. Shout out to those on Twitch right now joining us. That Twitch is becoming like the big radio station social media location. So yeah, we'll be on that. We'll be on that solid. And of course also YouTube, Up the Middle, and Talk TV 24. And Yergz Radio, Rainbow Radio, the UG, America One Radio, and 99.1 WDJY, and 1490 WWPR. So World Pride this June 2025. I would get I would make your reservations now. First of all, most of those platforms let you cancel with some amount of notice. So if you can't get off work, what little bit you do lose is worth the risk, as opposed to paying a hell of a lot more if you get a hotel who already knows this is coming. I promise you they do. Or if you book it through Mr. B&B 2 weeks out, who will know it's coming? It was asking me, like, where? I'm like, well, I guess the biggest thing that I wanted to see was the parade, or the location of it was the parade. And it seems as though it's focusing at, close to the festival area, which is where it usually ends. It usually starts over close to Rock Creek Park. But they may be anticipating a larger participation. And so perhaps it's going to be a circle. I don't know. But 14th and Pennsylvania is where the site for that is. Okay, so that's pretty much downtown. That's kind of like Mount Vernon Square, south of Logan Circle, which is where Mount Vernon Square is. Logan Circle, 14th goes through Logan Circle. That neighborhood, Logan Circle, DuPont Circle, U Street Corridor, Shaw. I actually messaged him. Let me see if I can find it here. So you Logan Circle, U Street Corridor, which connects essentially Shaw, LaDroit Park, and Adams Morgan. Adams Morgan's not bad, but it's a little far north, with the exception of some of the bars. So if you're looking to just get laid and by some guy you're never going to see again, or for the ladies, that's not going to be a bad location. Because that's going to be gay bars. It's going to be trendy bars that have straight people that are gay, very gay friendly. We got only a couple of minutes left. I want to get this done. Petworth, that's where I used to live. Petworth and actually Parkview. They're also above U Street Corridor and Shaw and LaDroit Park, north of. And so they might be a little far out too. NOMA, which stands for North of Massachusetts Avenue, that's around Union Station, which is not far from the Capitol, which is not far from that street festival area. So that's not bad. Mount Vernon Triangle, I said. Golden Triangle, which is just west of the White House. And in there is, okay, so picture these two neighborhoods together. Golden Triangle and Foggy Bottom. Tell me that's not a little gay. The Southwest Waterfront and the Navy Yard are also good areas. So any of those, I'll put that info on the show notes as well. That'll be available later this evening because I've got to start wrapping up. Yeah, we got 2 minutes left, and today's only an hour show. You can get us, it's on the screen right now, news, NEWZ at Yergz.com. When we finally do actually do news, we want you to help provide it. My Friday co-host can be reached. Blake, the Homeless Conservative, is available at Blake at thehomelessconservative.com. He's got the Homeless Conservative podcast where he gives you conservative viewpoints and gives you his 2 cents there and joins us every Friday. Also joining us every Friday, the Democratic nominee for Congress in the 7th District of Ohio, which is the outer Cleveland area, Matt Deemer. You can get him, Matt, at dailycryptonews.net, which is available in our news here at Yergz Radio, and also at info@deemerforcongress.com. His last name is spelled Diemer. Again, news, NEWZ, NEWZ at Yergz.com. We are YERGZ.com and YergzRadio.com. That's it, gang. I'm going to go take a nap, get to this bank, get that done, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for joining.